Hey everybody, it's Eric the Horror Man, and welcome to my end of the month haul for the month of July. So these are the stuff that I bought throughout the entire month of July. And I say that this has actually been a very impressive haul that I managed to get throughout the entire month of July. So I hope you guys like what you managed to see. So without further ado, let's get started. First off, I got a couple of shirts. My girlfriend bought me this shirt for my birthday. It's Fast and Furious shirt for my birthday. So very comfortable shirt, fits good. Also for one of these shirts I already have a shirt of Night of the Creeps that I bought at the Scare Con event a couple years ago. Thanks to Tom Atkins for having it as a table, which is this one here. But the color is a little bit faded when I first bought this shirt. So I ordered the same exact shirt off of FrightRags.com, except the colors is a little bit more brighter, and I definitely love this shirt because the color on the picture is a little bit more brighter than the other one I have, but I'm still keeping the other one so I can just switch on and off from the bright color to the dim color. What can I say? I had to get the shirt of Night of the Creeps because that's my number one favorite horror movie. The soundtrack I picked up. I bought this off of Amazon for like $10 and some cents, but when I got this soundtrack came all the way from either Germany or the Netherlands. But I am so glad that this soundtrack finally got a release, and it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and that's the soundtrack of Pumpkinhead. I love that movie Pumpkinhead, and I love the soundtrack to this. This soundtrack was just amazing, and I just love the ending theme music to the movie Pumpkinhead, especially how the music ends it ends it for the for the theme music. So the soundtrack of Pumpkinhead, there's only like limited edition copies of it, like about 666 limited the edition copies of this. So if you like the movie Pumpkinhead, definitely recommend getting the soundtrack for it. And next is all Blu-rays, no DVDs whatsoever. So the movies I'm going to show you, it's just all Blu-rays. A couple upgrades. One of them I ended up upgrading from the DVD to the Blu-ray is Ghost. Of course, everyone's familiar with it. This is from Paramount Presents. As you can tell, we got the original poster. But of course, who hasn't seen Ghost? Next, I picked up at Walmart for $10 since the new G.I. Joe movie, Snake Eyes, was coming out. I picked up the Blu-ray copy of G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra and G.I. Joe: Retaliation. I've only seen them once, but I haven't got a chance to watch them yet. Another upgrade is a classic movie that's like 50 years old now, and that's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What can I say about it? This is a classic movie, and can't say nothing bad about it. A couple more Blu-rays I picked up. We have them on DVD as a double feature, but I never actually own them in my collection, and that's the Blu-ray copy of 48 Hours. Again, it's from Paramount Presents, and of course the original poster right there. And another 48 Hours. Again, it's from Paramount Presents, and again the original poster. This movie I ordered off of eBay, and this movie went straight to video. And this movie's got Keanu Reeves in it. If you see me post this picture on Facebook, you know what it is. But this movie was actually interesting. It was actually not bad. It was called Knock Knock, where he plays like a man whose wife and kids that went away, and next he ends up meeting two girls at the front door, and he lets them in out of a rainstorm. The next the two girls end up seducing him. Then all of a sudden they just start playing games with him. So this movie was actually very interesting for a horror home invasion kind of film, and the girls in this movie were just completely crazy and nuts. So Knock Knock was actually not bad of a movie. Next up, I bought up at Walmart. It's another movie based on a video game, and I decided to buy the whole entire collection where it's got all 6 movies in one, and that's the Resident Evil collection where it's got all 6 of the Resident Evil movies in one. I used to have the first 5 on DVD, but I never bought part 6 on DVD. But now I have all 6 Resident Evil movies on Blu-ray. This next one I ordered with a gift card, thanks to my friend PJ Souls, who got me a $50 gift card for Amazon. And this movie I picked up is a shark movie, which I've seen once, but I don't remember much of it, and that's Bait. So I could watch this movie either in 2D or 3D. Here, Bait is like where a tsunami ends up hitting like an underground supermarket and ends up flooding the entire store, and whatever survivors that's in the store has to survive against these sharks that's lurking around in the flooded waters inside a supermarket. I haven't got a chance to watch this yet, but I will later tonight. So, Bait, I know it's actually a very fun shark movie, even though I've seen it once, but I don't remember much of it. A couple more upgrades. I ordered these off of eBay, even though my friend PJ Souls bought me the DVD copies of it when she was at a convention, but I figured I'd upgrade them to the Blu-ray, and that's the Toxic Avenger, the very first one that started it all. Um, Next, another upgrade, even though I didn't have it in my collection because she tried to get it. My friend PJ tried to get it for me at the convention that she was at, where she got the first Toxic Avenger, but she said they were all sold out. But I bought the Blu-ray copy of it, and that's the Toxic Avenger Part 2. This is a Blu-ray DVD combo. And again, another upgrade. Hit it. So the only Toxic Avenger movies that my friend PJ Souls managed to get me is 1, 3, and 4. Like I said, she couldn't get me Part 2 because they were all sold out. And of course, bought the upgraded Toxic Avenger Part 3, The Last Temptation of Toxie. Again, this is a Blu-ray DVD combo. Very glad to have those now. Next is a double feature movie I bought on Blu-ray. I ended up watching one of them off of YouTube a couple years ago, and I liked it. The other one I ended up watching on TV, and I think I was like in my early 20s when I saw this movie, and I thought this movie was okay. And that's a double feature of Bad Dreams and Visiting Hours. Bad Dreams, this was a movie I saw in my 20s, I believe. I saw it on TV, and I thought this movie was okay. Visiting Hours, I ended up downloading off of YouTube. I ended up watching a couple years ago, and this one I actually liked. So, Visiting Hours is actually a very fun slasher movie, and Bad Dreams is actually not too bad of a film. Where Bad Dreams, where this girl escapes from a house fire after it kills an entire cult. She wakes up from a coma, and she's starting to have these visions of the cult leader, and the patients at the hospital are just dying off one by one. So is it possibly that she's going completely insane, or that the cult leader has come back to make her his sacrifice? And Visiting Hours is where this killer, played by Michael Ironside, he just hates women completely with a passion because he had like a bad traumatic experience when he was a child. Ends up attacking this news reporter, but the news reporter survived his attack, and when he finds out that she's still alive, he decides to follow her over to the hospital just to finish what he started. So, oh, Visiting Hours is actually good. Bad Dreams is not too bad. Next is another 80s horror movie that I ended up watching for the very first time, even though I've heard of it but never seen it. I also posted this one on Facebook as well, and that's Fade to Black. Fade to Black was actually yeah, not bad of an 80s horror movie. Yeah, about where this guy who works at a 35 millimeter film depot spends his free time mostly watching classic movies and collecting memorabilia. And he gets picked on. And when they push him too far, he ends up dressing like the iconic characters that he's seen in the movies over the years and does like a recreation of the killings just to get back to his tormentors. So, Fade to Black, not bad of a 80s horror movie. So, it was my first time seeing this one. Next up is another Blu-ray I picked up. I remember seeing this movie a couple of times, but I figured I decided to get this for the gift card as well. And that's Phantom of the Opera, the 80s horror version with Robert Englund. This one was actually not bad. It was actually very fun, where he falls for this aspiring opera singer and he just wants her to be his. Here's it, even if it means murdering somebody just so he could have her all to himself. So, Phantom of the Opera, classic 80s horror movie. Next, I downloaded this movie a couple days ago off of YouTube. Watched this for the very first time, and it was actually not bad for an 80s slasher horror movie, and that's Pieces. This movie was actually a very fun 80s slasher horror movie here, where a psychopath goes around killing like college co-eds, and every time he kills, he takes a certain body part of his victims because he's trying to rebuild his mom when he ended up killing her with an axe when he was 10 years old. So this movie's got two Blu-rays. I know the first Blu-ray disc has two versions of the film, the English version and a Spanish version. The second Blu-ray disc, I'm not sure what it has. I didn't manage to check it out yet. I'm pretty sure it's got special features. And it's also got the soundtrack to it. So, Pieces, very fun slasher 80s horror movie. Next is a Blu-ray I picked up, and it's a remake. And it's pretty much the same storyline, same script line that you hear in the first original movie. And that's Cabin Fever, the remake. So again, like I said, yes, it's the same storyline where teens end up falling prey to a flesh-eating virus, and it's got the same scripted lines that you heard in the original Cabin Fever, but they did end up changing stuff up a little bit in this remake, like when the friends were gathered around the campfire, just having a conversation, and the guy interrupts the conversation with his dog, and the guy says that my name is Justin, but you can call me Grim. Well, in this one, the guy said that my name is Connor, but you can call me Grim. And it goes the same way for the Deputy Winston character, because the original Deputy Winston was a guy, but in the remake, this Deputy Winston is a girl, a blonde girl. So the remake of Cabin Fever is actually not bad. The music was very intense. So if you want to check out the remake of Cabin Fever, go right ahead. But if you want to stick with the original, that's completely fine. So, remake of Cabin Fever is actually not bad. Next is Cabin Fever, Patient Zero. This is like the third part to the Cabin Fever movies, where vacationers decide to go to a tropical island, but when two of the teens decide to swim in the contagious water that's infected by the virus, the only surviving people on the island is like a group of medical staff and a patient, the Holden named Patient Zero, who's like showing no signs or symptoms of the disease whatsoever. So now I have all the Cabin Fever movies. The only one I just wish I would get a Blu-ray release is Part 2. Next is another 80s slasher horror movie, which I've seen a couple times. I downloaded off of YouTube, and that's Final Exam. Final Exam was actually not bad of a movie, but for people who have seen this movie, the only thing I just did not like was not like giving out the information of who the killer is, or like who he is and what's his background and stuff. That's the only thing I just did not like about this movie. But Final Exam is just actually not really that bad of an 80s slasher horror movie. So I'm sorry if I spoiled it, the details for Final Exam about the killer, but that's just why I didn't like about it. But if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Next, for the Blu-ray I decided to pick up is a Blu-ray DVD combo. And I've seen this movie so many times, and this movie is like 40 plus years old now, and it's pretty sad I did not have this movie in my collection, but now that I do, and that's Motel Hell. This is a very recognizable 80s horror movie where Farmer Vincent and his sister Ida decided to put lost motorists in their smoked meats. And they have like a little field out back where they have like the people buried like right up to the top of their necks, and they have their throats slit with bandage covering it where they can't talk or scream. So Motel Hell, very recognizable 80s horror movie right there. Next is another Stephen King movie I decided to get on Blu-ray, and I'm glad I have this since I have part 2 and part 3 as a double feature on DVD, but I figured why not get the first one. And that's Children of the Corn, the original. This is a classic 80s horror movie from Stephen King that everyone is familiar with, where a young couple gets lost in a small town of Nebraska, where the town is like a ghost town. There's like no adults around, and they come across like a cult of kids that's like looking for a sacrifice. So, Children of the Corn, very recognizable 80s horror movie from Stephen King. Next, a couple more upgrades I decided to get from the DVD to the Blu-ray, and that's Night of the Living Dead, the original, or black and white 1960 version of it. This movie's a classic zombie movie, very fun to watch. Next, another upgrade from the DVD to the Blu-ray, and that's Day of the Dead. This is also a classic zombie movie that everyone is familiar with, where survivors sweat it out in an underground missile silo while you got the zombies up above trying to get in. So Day of the Dead, classic zombie movie right there. Next, I just got this movie in the mail yesterday. I tried to go up to Walmart this past Tuesday to get it, but they had no copies of it whatsoever on Blu-ray, but they had the DVD. And that's A Quiet Place Part 2. I saw this movie in theaters, and I actually liked this movie. I thought this movie was actually very good. Managed to pick up from where the first one left off. So, we're A Quiet Place Part 2. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. Next is another Stephen King movie I decided to get on Blu-ray, and this Blu-ray is out of print. And I'm glad I finally got this movie, and that's Carrie, the original, where a girl has a special telekinetic powers and she gets back at her pranksters, and that's when all chaos breaks out at the prom. So, Carrie, very recognizable Stephen King movie, everyone is familiar with. Next is another upgrade that I decided to get with the Amazon gift card that my friend PJ ended up getting for my birthday, and that's Piranha in 3D. I could watch this movie either in 2D or 3D. I ended up watching this movie in theaters, and I saw this movie in 3D, and this movie was actually very fun in 3D. I actually liked it, where after an underwater tremor ends up splitting the ground, they're completely open underneath the water, and ends up releasing prehistoric piranhas. That goes on a feeding frenzy on some kids on spring break. So Piranha, very fun killer fish movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. Next is another Blu-ray I decided to get, and it's based on a short story of Stephen King. And I remember seeing this movie so many times a long time ago when I was a kid. We used to have it on tape, like on VHS, but I haven't seen this movie in so long, and that's The Mangler. This movie is a very fun movie with Robert Englund and Ted Levine in it, where you have like a possessed laundry folding machine that just kills people, and it's like one of those laundry machines that you see like at a laundry factory. That kind of like folds sheets like right through the conveyor, and it just rolls out the sheets, and then it gets folded in the back. But bad things happen, and it's like possessed, where people just get sucked right through the folding sheet, and it gets folded like a sheet, and they just come out all mangled. So The Mangler, very fun movie. I definitely recommend checking out if you haven't seen this. Next, another movie I've seen so many times. This is an action movie that I figured I'd get on Blu-ray, and that's Trespass, with Bill Paxton, Ice-T, William Sadler, and Ice Cube in it. This is actually a very fun action movie from the early 90s, where two Arkansas firefighters have a shootout with a gang in an abandoned warehouse over some buried gold. So, Trespass, very fun action movie from the 90s. I definitely recommend checking it out. And last, for the upgrade from the DVD to the Blu-ray, I pre-ordered this month, and I'm so glad that this movie got a Blu-ray release from Vestron, and that's The Wraith. What's to say? I mean, you can't say nothing bad about The Wraith. This is actually a very fun movie to watch from the 80s, where street racers end up killing this kid, and they're being taken out one by this mysterious figure known as the Wraith, who drives a very fast car, which is a Dodge Turbo Interceptor. It's a very nice car, and good songs music to this movie as well. So The Wraith, very fun movie from the 80s. I definitely recommend checking it out. Alright guys, so that's my haul for the month of July. What'd you think of this haul? Did you like any of the stuff that I got? Not for Blu-rays, or did you like any of the shirts or the soundtrack I got? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you think of the stuff that I got. Also like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more videos. Later.